Hi, I'm Carrie. Thanks for checking out my video. I don't have a completed project right now, but I want to make a video and show you what I'm working on. I got the idea of making a crumb quilt from a Facebook page and making it out of the scrap fabric that I have from the masks that I've been making. So I thought of using this Tumbler die to take my crumb pieces and making it ultimately into a full-on quilt. So I purchased this, I'm using my Accuquilt for this. I have the Accuquilt Go Big, which has the electric motor in it, and it feeds through there, and it uses this die to cut the shapes out like you see here. So I have various blocks cut out. So what I want to talk about is what did I do to get to these steps so that I'm ready to start putting my quilt together. So I took the scrap pieces, of course, and I started by piecing them together, and then I made this long 5-inch and 5.5-inch wide long strip of fabric. And what I do is I take the end of the fabric and run it through with the die, and then once that's cut, I can just keep moving it down and work my way down the entire strip. So I have all of my strips sewn together in a really long collection of my scraps. So how do I get there? What I do is, is an example of some scraps, and I piece these together. So there's a seam there. These are ready to be ironed so that they can eventually become long strips. As soon as the strip gets 5 inches, then I'll start sewing it into the 5-inch long strips that I just showed you. I chain piece these together. So you can see here, this is one set. And then here is the chain stitch. I'm just using my regular sewing machine for this. And then I just work my way down, and I have a whole stack of them here ready to be cut apart so that they can be ironed. Once they get 5 inches wide, I lay them in a bin. You could use a box or a bin of some sort, whatever you might have available. And sometimes if they're more square, maybe it's hard to tell which direction they're supposed to go. But I lay all of them in the same direction, so as I'm sewing, I can just grab one and I can put it together and work on the very long strip that I have. In the beginning, I had this bag, and I put all of my scrap pieces in there, and I would just go through them and pick out the pieces that I wanted to put together. There are tons of videos out there on how to make a crumb quilt, so I'm not going to demonstrate that, but that's the idea behind what I'm doing. So getting all my scraps together, putting them in some type of shape, and then ultimately cutting them into those tumbler blocks that I showed you in the beginning. So even if you don't have an Accuquilt, maybe you just want to do a square shape or a rectangle of some sort. So pick a dimension, make them all that width, and then you can cut as you're going down the line, and so you don't have to do as much cutting. So you don't have to cut individual squares from this particular block. You're just working your way down the line instead of making a whole bunch of different shapes. So that's what I'm doing. I'm excited to see how it's going to turn out in the end. I'd love to hear from you. Leave me some comments, or if you have any questions, I would love your feedback. And thanks for checking out my video.